I spent the majority of the day yesterday taking hunks of metal from a unit that we were clearing to a scrapyard, and it was an interesting experience. It was far less intimidating than I thought it would be, because you can imagine you see scrapyards, like scrap metal places in the films and stuff, and you think that these big gruff guys are going to come out, and then the guys that were there were just actually all right, and we did all right out of the metal that we took there. Which, we didn't spend time going around and collecting it. We just had it left over from this job. So that was interesting, and a lot of heavy lifting, which, one interesting thing to do for people that work in physical jobs, but even people that work in any job or just in day-to-day life as well, is that if you are aspiring towards fitness, when you have to do hard physical tasks, it's just thinking of them like a workout. Just thinking, oh, well, I've got to move this to the tip, I've got to take this to the tip from my house, but I'm going to be working on my back, and I'm going to be working on my arms, and I'm going to be working on my legs, and whatever muscles you're using in that activity. Maybe cardio if you've got to take stuff up and down the stairs. So yeah, it's a nice way of reframing things. Which I'm going to revisit framing this idea that I've taken from Visa Kanvirasamy, because I delved into it a little bit, but I think it's an idea that's applicable in many, many different sectors and parts of life. I was today going to talk about the Banshees of Inisherin, but I'm going to switch it up, because not only was I going to talk about it, the movie, but I did talk about it for a little while there, and it just wasn't flowing for whatever reason. Don't know whether I'm trying too hard. I don't know whether it's because I just finished it now, and I've heard it said from famous movie critics that it's actually often good to let a movie settle on you for your brain to process it overnight and then come back to it in the morning. Sometimes you like it more, sometimes you like it less the next day. So instead, what I'm going to talk about sort of a few very small things, like the fact that because my hair is so long and thick, when that feeling when warm or hot water hits your head in the shower, right? And it just feels amazing, absolutely amazing. For some reason not for some reason, for obvious reasons, with my hair this thick, the hot water doesn't quite hit my skull or hit the skin on the top of my head, and I just don't get the same feeling. That is very, very irritating. Another thought that I had today is this is my my own version of Goethe's sketchy, incomplete, and whatever jottings. I'm just giving you random thoughts here. Is that the world would be a much better place if we got rid of all of the people that refer to the TV remote, as the buttons. We can axe them, get rid of them, alongside who was it? Was it George Carlin or Bill? Was it Bill Hicks that said cruise ships? If you just completely destroyed all the cruise ships with the people who go on them on it, the world would be a better place. The autofocus seems to be going a bit weird as I'm filming, so this video might end up being really, really weird and trashy. It's funny because I took the evening off of filming yesterday for the first time, because I filmed 2 videos in one day. The day before, and it was a proper push to do that, but it meant that I could take a break to just let myself rest and read a bit and so on and so forth. Let's give you another thought that I had today. Overindulgence. Okay, so it was about 10 o'clock last night, time for me to go sleep. I get up early enough to require me to go sleep by 10 o'clock to get a decent amount of sleep. But I had been reading, and I'm currently reading, what is it called? Habibi by Craig Thompson. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful book, but more on that another time. We'll make a video about it. And it's time for bed, right? But for some reason, I'm like, I want to read one more chapter. And I just had this craving to read one more chapter. God, that sounds really bland, doesn't it? That my impulses are to read extra chapters. But there I was. And I had this thought when it happened, that because I've not really been eating much sugar, apart from at the weekend when I had a cookie that my girlfriend had baked. I had to have it because it would have been rude not to. That's the devil talking on my shoulder, isn't it? So I haven't really been eating sugar. I've been abstaining from a lot of other things. I haven't drank in a long time. And so I feel like I've become less impulsive in those ways. But this impulsivity with wanting to read the extra chapter, it felt really similar to those moments. And it made me think that if you allow yourself to be impulsive and you don't exert control over yourself in those situations where actually going to sleep is better, but reading is not necessarily a bad thing. That's not necessarily an awful impulse, right? Reading one more chapter. But if you don't sort yourself out in the little moments, then when it comes to the harder things like abstaining from drinking or abstaining from eating too many sweet treats and wrecking your teeth and wrecking your body and whatever, or abstaining from, I don't know what other things that people do, watching porn and drugs, I guess. And I think that's probably most of the bad things that staying away from hard drugs. As I was saying that then, I did just realise that I remember this thing that Andrew Huberman said about not clicking your pen or something, or was it was something about not fiddling with your pen, that actually if you can stop yourself from doing that ability of being intentional and abstaining or refraining from doing something will benefit you in different ways as well. It's a thought that I need to process a little bit more and sleep on and think about where else it applies. But it did just feel very, very similar in that moment where it was me, and I'm a very impulsive person. I have shit control over myself when it comes to like walking down an aisle in the supermarket and being like, "Oh, sweets," because I've eaten sweets like since I was very, very young. I used to get my dinner money from my parents in the morning, and on the way to school I'd spend it on sweets in the shop and eat the sweets at like 9 a.m. or something in my first lesson. No wonder I felt like shit in school. Imagine if my diet was good. I feel like I would have been I got such much better grades. The language is falling off a cliff here. Right, I will leave it there, and if you have anything to offer on that subject, I'm interested. I think actually my girlfriend also mentioned something, and I don't know specifically what it was called. I think it was orthorexia, where people are either, I think they're addicted to fitness. Let me look that up, 1 second. So it is an obsession with eating pure food, an unhealthy obsession with eating pure food. Signs and symptoms of orthorexia: gauging emotional eating. Self-esteem is based on eating healthy foods. Yeah, so you basically become obsessed to your detriment with eating healthily. I'm sure probably fitness and stuff like that comes into it as well. But yeah, I need to tie all of those thoughts together. Not all of them, not the ones at the beginning that were useless, but all of those thoughts about impulsivity and control and intentions and stuff like that. I firmly believe that one of the main keys to a happy, purposeful life is being able to. Who says this? I think Dan Coe says something similar. The guy on YouTube who you should look up because he's quite interesting. He makes good videos. It's to like shorten the gap between intention and action, or at least just be as intentional as possible with your day-to-day activity. So do the things you actually want to do. I mean, how easy is it to say you're going to do something and then just not, and find yourself on your phone or whatever? Somehow closing that gap, if you can, will definitely benefit your life. I know that, and still I'm not great at it, but I'm trying to get better. Cool, I'm going to leave it there. This has been a slightly dead video, but we'll be back and better tomorrow. I think it's because I took a day off. Naughty Jack, shouldn't have done it. Catch you later. Bye bye.